This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, we'll let you give your thoughts on Devo. Announces last night he's coming back, and I know for Arkansas basketball fans, a big deal. What do you think he could take the next step in his game this year?
Oh, good morning, Tommy. Pleasure to be with you. I think the jump shot probably, because we know his defensive intensity and his passion for the game. But he's got to watch out for is the temper stuff. Like when he got ejected in that, I can't even remember what postseason game that was or when that was. But,
Kentucky game.
So when he's at his best, he's driving. He's getting out in transition. He's sparking offense from defense and those kind of things. I mean, his jump shot, I don't think we'll ever think of him as like a super pure three-point shooter or anything like that. The lefty shot makes it just look different, But, I think this is a case of where NIL might have weighed in a good keep like this, because we know he's on various advertisements and stuff, and he's kind of become the face of the program, and he's a local kid, and he's done well. So I think had it not been for NIL, he might be out, trying the professional rank. So good to see him back. I just think he needs to have his intensity pointed in all the right directions for next year.
Talking about NIL, do you think there's any chance he could surpass KJ? And I know that's money's not public, but is there any chance that a basketball player could surpass the quarterback at Arkansas in terms of money made?
Well, I mean, we know that gymnasts have done super well and other sports. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly a possibility, but I really don't know. I know KJ's been in some commercials. I've seen some of the like golfers and gymnasts and stuff in some other commercials lately. So, it's certainly a possibility, but KJ, I think, has done well with it, and I think that was a good inducement for him to come back and play his senior year as well.
All right, so that leaves you with Jordan Walsh's decision to remain in the draft process. So he's off the roster. I think that leaves you one spot with Ron Holland not coming. You've got some clarity, but what's the need, Tom? When you look at the roster and now the 12 guys, you got one spot. What kind of player do you need to fill that last seat on the bench?
Well, when I look at the current composition, I think, rugged rebounder, defensive enforcer type guy, a guy to give Mekhi Mitchell a spell, a rim protector. And
True five.
I don't know. Yes, exactly. So I don't know. That's kind of, it's a pretty guard-heavy deal, swingman heavy kind of deal, and certainly a lot of really good pieces. But yeah, that's my take. A tall guy, 6'10".
Yeah, you got Bay Fall. If everything works out there, he's a taller guy, but not a bigger guy. You need somebody that I know back to the basket's not the way the game's played, but you gotta back someone down and get you a shot on the low block late, or get you that sometimes a rebound with 45 seconds to go in a game is the biggest play. You need that guy who can put a hip on someone.
Exactly. So 6'8", Kamani Johnson, Mekhi Mitchell type guy. That's who I think would fit well on this roster.
Tom Murphy with us this morning. I know that our fans are really ecstatic about Devo Davis with the Ron Holland and Jordan Walsh news, and I know that kind of like you and Tommy were just saying that the idea guy to add is someone out of the portal that's a bigger guy. How quick do you think Eric Musselman does that, Tom?
I don't know if they'd be in that big of a rush, but I mean, I'm sure they're on to the people. And I would think that would happen relatively soon. I guess the second semester of summer school would be coming up here in a few weeks. So I don't know. I would think sometime in the midsummer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quicker than usual. So I know your colleague Scotty Bordelon is down at SEC Media Days right now, and he's talking to all these different coaches and everything going on. And really the 8 or 9 game schedule is what's been on the front of our minds. But gambling might be the actual bigger issue with what happened after Brad Bohannon. Tom, how big of a deal is that right now in collegiate sports, especially after we had that scandal in Tuscaloosa?
Well, exactly, and it's the kind of thing that strikes at the very integrity of the sport. And, you know, I know there's been various instances over the years. I mean, Boston College comes to mind. I think there was something at Tulane years ago, Tommy. You know, and it's the kind of thing that kind of scares you because if organized crime is involved, you know, it just puts different layers on things. And you want to think of your sport as having some kind of a purity. And I'm sure there have been others over the years, smaller things that maybe have gone undetected. But it seems to me as if, you know, the SEC is going to be on the leading edge. I know they've got a guy coming in to talk that's with this major firm that, you know, monitors things. Mm-hmm. So to understand that the average college student, I think they get a bit of a rush from, you know, because now gambling with apps and stuff is on your phones, mm-hmm. and you can put small amount of wagers on, you know, anything.
Yeah.
And so what's the inducement or enticement for college students, you know, even if you play sports, to just have fun with that? I mean, they're not supposed to. And, you know, meanwhile, some of their, you know, possibly roommates or colleagues and stuff are doing that. So it's a big deal. And I think the training, I've talked to some folks at the U of A about what happened, and the training on that, the hammering that home to them in various orientation periods, in various sessions, is nonstop, and it will only ramp up. And I think the inducements, or, you know, the what you can put in front of them is, yeah, you know, you lose your scholarship. You are immediately booted from the team. You know, you are no longer in school. I mean, that kind of thing. That's a big deal. So hopefully the players, you know, will stay away from that. And the Bohannon thing, I hesitate to comment because I've read the material on it, and certainly someone connected to him was on the phone making a bet.
Well, see, I think that's the education you're talking about there, because I think it doesn't take long to educate coaches and players that you can't wager on college sports and the games you're playing. I mean, I think everybody knows that. That doesn't take long to get across. It's the guarding of the information. It's not letting your roommate or classmate know that, hey, our starting pitcher or our best wide receiver is injured and not going to play, when the public doesn't know those things. And, you know, it's getting them to understand, because for a lot of these young guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old, I mean, it's got to be intoxicating to them to have that kind of influence and power that, hey, I could make this person an extra $500 or $5,000 tonight by the information I know, or the performance I have on the field could sway and influence so many dollars. None of us are ever in that position. And, you know, now they find themselves in this, for the first time in their lives, where, hey, what I do and how I perform potentially could turn, you know, small fortunes.
Yeah, it's a weird deal, for sure. And, you know, it's the kind of thing where, you know, sometimes trainers could call a buddy. I mean, think about that. They're not, I mean, they're connected to the team, and
it's great.
Yeah, I guess they'd get fired if it was connected to them that some guy made a huge wager on interior knowledge like that. So I don't know how you can control all of it, but certainly they have to do what they can to protect the integrity.
And see that, you know, does that drive to the integrity of the game itself? I mean, if players are betting on games, that's one thing. But I think we lump all this into the same pot in the conversation. But to me, they're two separate things. And in my mind, at least, or there's a distinction, at least, between those two acts. All right, Tom, some baseball real quick before we wind things down. Arkansas and Santa Clara, 2 o'clock on Friday, and then you're hoping to be in that 8 o'clock game. What are the big keys this weekend? Are you looking more at getting that top end of the rotation going offensively at the plate, or is your keen eyes focused in on the pitching performances this weekend?
Well, I tell you what, because the pitchers have done well in recent outings, Smith, Holland, and Tigert, McIntyre, Morris, I think the deal is to get more bats clicking at once, because we're talking about guys who've hit over 300, and even in Jace Borfin's case, over 400 for a huge chunk of the year, and several of them are struggling at once. Borfin is in a pretty extended slump. Wagner had the grand slam, but he hasn't hit well since he got back. Josenberger. So that's three of your top four bats in the order. Diggs has been okay, and then like maybe Slavin's, a very micro type slump. But Cali and Holt, you can't expect them to continue to hit the way they did in the tournament. So you've got to get some of those other guys hitting, and just a couple of them, and Arkansas will be a force. But if they continue and they have a game, a key game that none of those guys have a hit or get on base much, and here I'm seeing a commercial with Matty Jones, the gymnast, right now on TV. But anyway, then they could be in trouble. And so just getting their time, and Dave mentioned something about that. Sometimes when the guys get a few days off, they come back more focused and all, and you really hope that's the case with specifically Josenberger, Wagner, and Borfin. Tom,
real quick, Dave said we might hear a starting pitcher today. Who is it tomorrow before we let you go?
Yep. Yeah, my gut, I want to say that they might go with Holland and then leave Smith for a game two, because either way you cut it, it's going to be against a tough team. And I'm not saying that Santa Clara is not tough, but my gut says, and they'll probably go the other way, but maybe Holland, Smith, and then that way you can maybe be in position to flip them back for a super regional if you can make it that far.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Tom, we'll leave it there, man. We appreciate your insight. See you at Baum Walker tomorrow, okay?
Sounds good, y'all. See you then. Bye.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.